It's today, it is 31 years for me in Israel according to the Jewish calendar. Right now, relaxing with a cup of coffee that I spiked with Chivas Regal to reminisce about the occasion. I also had some sugared citron esrog. And I also had a real shot of Chivas Regal and then some Mizonos. It's an idea that I find very pleasing, having been in Israel now for 31 years. It's one of the things that I'm proud of. Mentioned it to some friends here in Israel in the neighborhood, people I daven with, Rabbi Baruch, others, okay, and they gave me a nice congratulation. Had some short conversations with them, called up my old neighbor at Beit Canada. It's new immigrant housing, Alan Schreiber. Was with me in the early years. I was in Beit Canada for 2 years and 10 months. The government of Israel encourages Aliyah, and this is one of the benefits. They give you it's a subsidized place to live and cheap rent, and it also has social facilities. And also the government bureaucrats come in, particularly the Minister of Labor, to help you find a job. What's that? Housing, education. Went to Ulpan Etzion for a semester to improve my Hebrew, learn Hebrew. It was a nice experience. The solar date is actually it's February 5th. The Jewish date though made an impression on me because it was Erev Tu B'Shavat. Right now it's raining in Israel, and the day I arrived, I remember getting off the plane. And they had someone from the government to process us there, welcome us of sorts. Remember, they would give you the government documents. And remember, the prominent was what they called the Tuda Ole, which basically keeps track of your new immigrant benefits. Being able to bring in things duty free as shipping, that type of thing. Other things as well. Then they put us onto a tender, a van, and it took me to Beit Canada. I had reservations there. And when I got there, it was drizzling, and I saw basically saplings like you get from a nursery in the parking lot that they were planning to plant on Tu B'Shavat. Interesting point of view, but that could go into that in detail. But in any case, it's spring is coming once Tu B'Shavat rolls around. And I remember when I was a kid in Congregation Bet Shalom that we would plant trees on Tu B'Shavat. February 5th, it's a couple of days after Groundhog Day. It's actually an ancient holiday, and like Tu B'Shavat, it's the exact midpoint in winter between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. It's when things start to get warm. So I got into Bay Canada and met my first friends, Alan Schreiber. Just talked to him on the phone. And Yerachmi El Cohn, who were there at the time. Yerachmi El Cohn, as soon as arriving, promptly invited me for Shabbos. One of my first Shabbases in Israel was with my friend Yerachmi El Cohn. I'll give him a call out to think about it. Reminiscing where I am, has it been a success? It's been an unqualified success. I remember when I started going in the direction of Aliyah, ever since really I can remember, I felt that I wanted to live in the land of Israel. Then when I moved to New York, I actually started making that's where I started making practical arrangements to go there. I had been in Ulpan, World Zionist Organization on Fifth Avenue, as I recall. Yeah, I took it in preparation for a tour of Israel. Also, I joined Lincoln Square Synagogue, but I became much more Aliyah-minded at that time. And I remember my friend Alan Rizzuto, accountant like myself, who was a good friend at the time. Pleasant memories. I haven't talked to him in a while. I should give him a call, maybe. I don't know. I have to think about that. He was quite upset that he saw that I hadn't told him it. He was quite upset that I was leaving. And it was the first time we talked about it. He had picked up on my thoughts. And I told him basically that I had the spirit of getting married in the United States. Said that, it's too much promiscuity, that it's just not going to work there, and it hasn't worked for me. And that I wanted to give it a role in Israel. Maybe that would change my luck. I thought about what I said. I said, well, am I moving to Israel just to get married? And the answer was no. I thought to myself that there were things that I didn't like about the United States, but I said that I basically needed a new roll of the dice. I needed a new deal, okay? And I thought I might have said it to him at the time. I said, I don't think that moving to Israel will solve all my problems. That there will be advantages and disadvantages there as they have been here. I said, but overall, things will be better. And that has been true. In terms of getting married, you could have to say a miss is as good as a mile. I went on shidduchim base. I have been in love. It didn't work. Maybe that's all I really needed. I'm amazed that the living by myself and alone doesn't really bother me, and I would certainly prefer the pleasure of a woman. Also, something that's cleaner and not austere. Definitely don't go for this. I can live with it. I can deal with it. It's not my cup of tea. Um, Whether you're changing diapers and that type of thing also doesn't thrill me either. But I, the fact that I haven't gotten married in Israel does not really materially affect my assessment of its success. For what I do, my main criteria is: am I happier here? I am. That has been true. Um, the human relationships I had in the United States were better. Um, the wisdom and improvement in character in Israel is far superior. Knowledge of Hashem, closeness to Hashem. Remember, as soon as I arrived, the first thought I had when my feet touched the ground in the airport was Eved Adonai, that I should be a servant of God here, and religious intentions played large in my mind. And that is how things have shaped up here. I had a job. There was Kaviyoko, Hashem was paying a debt to me. And I should have worked for the Big Eight in the accounting firms in the United States based on my credentials, my ability, that type of thing. But I wound up basically working for the most prominent Jewish accounting firm that you could still call Jewish. Once they got a bit larger than the S.D. Leidensdorf, as an example, they had a lot of Jews working for them, but they had really assimilated as a group. Brout was still very definitely a Jewish firm. So where did I work in Israel at my job? Somachaken, and now it's I think KPMG. They like to think of themselves or trumpet the fact that they were a correspondent of Price Waterhouse. They called themselves the Big Five in Israel. Reminded me of interviews I had. I had an interview with Tush Ross in the Gateway in Newark. But I wanted an El-Cent big company and is on the big board, Israeli company, IBM Israel. Then I wound up in a yeshiva. After basically a year, they gave me a golden parachute. I told them that I'd rather have the job than the parachute, and they basically told me that wasn't in the cards. So I took the money and ran. And it's basically been a miracle here every day because my main preoccupation has been learning Torah. In that I'd advanced. Things that commentaries, language, books that I've read and assimilated, I never really thought I'd get to that level. I still considered it a miracle that I could actually read these books, understand them, and explain them to others. To a certain extent, I think Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted me here in Brockfeld, so I should be writing my weekly newsletter, my weekly Devar Torah. I've become a better person. The idea of being a tzaddik, it didn't exist in the United States. Here it's been quite large. Aggravation, it's been considerable, but it's a case where, you talk to the live cam, you have a few drinks, you call up a good friend, talk to friends. It's basically been good. Still a bit of a Zionist. From the standpoint that I believe that the Jews should all live in Israel, and we basically observe it. That hasn't changed. The problems of living in Israel, the Israeli government, that has become apparently clear, abundantly clear to me. The difficulties involved with observance, including what I'd have to say is distortion of the basic Ritzono Hamakom, the will of God. I will at times wonder whether Orthodox Judaism is a legitimate expression of the 5 books of Moses. It is. Okay, but some of the things that they do, I'd have to recognize as outrageous. In terms of being basically happy, basically my mind active, that has happened. So, hoping for the best. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.